What's going on, guys? It's the Big Podcast, episode number 125. And today we are going to finish up week four's review. And with me tonight, staying up ultra late for us after some very interesting sports finishes this evening, Jason Ashby in Denver, Colorado. Jason, thanks for hanging out late with us tonight.
Absolutely. Anything to talk bigs with you boys. I'm happy to do it. It was a wild week. So I'm definitely interested to break this down. Let's get it going.
Let's get this thing going. And with me as well, the happiest Toronto Maple Leafs fan. He is the commissioner, Ben Nisman. Benny, super excited for the Maple Leafs win in overtime, so much so you were jumping around the house as if something were on fire. How are you feeling this evening, sir?
I'm a lot better now, thank you, Joe. After I've calmed down a little, yes, I was leaping like a frog or just an absolute madman for about 20 seconds after that goal was scored in overtime. But yeah, this is one of the better days all around that I've had in quite a while, and I'm very, very grateful to be here with you guys talking Bigs baseball as always, as a competitor, but obviously as the commissioner of this league. What an unbelievable week we had. Just so many Titans just battling against each other, tight matchups across the board, and it's really, really amazing to see. So, without further ado, Joe, please, as always, lead us off, my man.
Let's get going, boys. I guess everybody got the memo from Ben this week that we're all going to have close matchups. And Benji, you led the way here against Jay Ferraro with a 10-10 tie. On Sunday, you had the ERA lead by almost a full run, and Jay ends up taking that from you. And the relief appearances, you had a relief appearance lead, and he took that from you as well. So it ends up at a 10-10 tie. Ben, you win by the double, 3 losses and a home run given up by a pitcher. Jay wins by the triple, 2 errors, an inning and a third, 2 saves, 10 ticks on the ERA, and those 2 relief appearances. You guys did tie in wins. Benji, on your bench this week, you went 10 for 27.
God, that's horrible. Um, 368.
Oh, we almost nailed it. 370. 370 with 7 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 9 RBIs, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts, and an error. The real things that play here are the fact that the innings and the relief appearances, and I'm sure you're going to want to get into
The
Ryan
win.
Yarborough.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Uh, Real quick, Saturday I thought was going to be a disaster because I was trying to back out as batting average, as you can see, is very, very close here by 6 ticks. But on Saturday night, I started backing away. Carlos Santana was sat on Saturday night, and I just thought of it to myself, like, anytime that I'm going to bench Carlos Santana, he will torture me. So he starts off with the walk and then the double that could have played, and then having this extensive at bat, and all of a sudden just yanks one so freaking far for a 3-run homer. I'm like, yeah, that's about what happens if you ever try to bench Carlos Santana. So I thought all of that would be what ended up playing. It doesn't. None of the offense. What does end up playing is the pitching. And my God, it was so right there for me. When innings pitched is that close, I pick up I pick up Corbin because I'm thinking to myself, this guy hasn't gone less than 4 1/3. That's really all I need. And I still have Taiwan Walker in case I need him. Okay. All Corbin needed to do is pitch semi competently, like he's played baseball in the past, right? But he starts off by giving up a grand slam without getting an out. Okay. So already now ERA is in play, but he works his way out of it basically. He can't get to the fifth, and Washington gets him off the hook. And if he had continued, he probably gets that win. That doesn't happen. And there's Taiwan Walker there, but now ERA is close. So I'm thinking, well, I could go and get those innings, but I could lose ERA in the process. If he gives up home runs given up by one, I'm not risking that with Walker now. Turns out he gets the win, would have flipped innings, and would have lost, taken the home runs given up, but maybe lowers the ERA just enough. Would have been better to just do it, but I didn't know that Jake Bird would pitch worse than any other reliever in baseball on Sunday around 6 o'clock after the Philly game had already started. Meanwhile, Ryan Yarborough, the plan was via Yahoo, via Roto, via ESPN, via any source. Yarborough was pitching on Monday, starting the game from Saturday, throughout the week. The plan was for him to be starting on Monday. All of a sudden, he's not. He's not. He's on board to play in this game. Don't you think I would have started him if I had known I had an automatic bulk reliever? Obviously, that would have it wouldn't have taken relief appearances, right? But it takes ERA and it takes innings pitched, and there's your win. I mean, it was served up for me, guys, on Sunday. It was served up and handed for me to get this thing. But I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. Playing against a great manager makes you second guess yourself. And we've all been there. And Jay, on the other side, is kicking himself as well. I'm sure he's thinking about Rizzo or certain decisions he could have made that could have flipped batting average when it's that close. So both of us on each side are thinking, I had this thing won. All I have to do is one different thing and I win the week. It turns out two very good managers this year ends up with a tie. How apropos. Very frustrating, very disappointing, but it's not a loss. I was losing something like 14-5 on Thursday and found a way to get back in this matchup. So I'm grateful for where it's at, but it was indeed a frustrating night, a frustrating day in general. And Joe, I think you could see me pretty distraught throughout that day, especially after Bird had that outing. That I was really, really enjoying the day, feeling like this could be a win. And then all of a sudden, Sunday night, Jay has two hitters that all they need to do is have a pair of hits or a double, and I lose the matchup. And I'm just watching this Sunday night game like anything can happen. And it didn't burn me. Like, those were one of those times where you think like it's bound to happen, and it didn't. So it fell my way in that regard. So like you get some, you lose some, and it works out into a 10-10 tie.
Yeah, and especially with no other teams blowing anybody out, you don't lose any ground here in the standings. There's not really all that much shifting around in the standings. So the 10-10 tie actually works out for you. Your moves this week, you added Alex Faedo for 2 innings, a win, a homer, a walk, a strikeout, a 9, and a 2, and a relief appearance. Dropped Ivan Herrera. You added Matthew Liberatore, who never showed up for you, dropping Faedo. You dropped Liberatore for Trent Thornton. Dropped Thornton for Josh Fleming for an inning and a third and a relief appearance. Tim Meza for Alex Faedo, again in a relief appearance. Dropped Faedo for Patrick Corbin, as we discussed, and dropped Ryan McMahon for Roansy Contreras, who did not make it into the baseball game this week. Dropped Ryan McMahon. He was the, 12th or 13th guy on your roster, so you don't feel too bad about losing that guy, right?
Oh, and at that moment, I'm thinking, if Contreras can get into this game, he could potentially lower the ERA. Actually, at the time when I did it, ERA was still mine. So I'm thinking another relief appearance. But Adam Ottavino hadn't pitched in like 6 days. Alex Lang is the forgotten man on Detroit in like a tight ball game on Sunday, and it's not him in the 8th inning. I forgot who they played. And I'm just like, what does Lang have to do to get into a game? Like, it's ridiculous already. And Ottavino, and I'm just like, these relief appearances, like, they should have landed in my direction. Like, everything was set up for it to happen. So for me, Ryan McMahon, it was really just a Hail Mary, and it wasn't a guy that I was worried about losing. It was always a guy that every time I played him, I was like, here comes 3 strikeouts,
Yeah.
So,
And now he's on Frank's team blowing up today. So thanks for that.
Oh, really? He blew up today?
Yeah.
I saw that he got a hit and an RBI and a run. I didn't know that it went further than that.
3 for 5, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs.
That's today, though. Tomorrow it's
yes,
be,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
also,
that was my experience with him, Jason. Like, that he'd have that big game, and then for 3 days in a row, it would be like an 0 for 11.
Oh yeah, that's how he rolls. By the way, I do just have to
Hmm.
give love to the fact that you added Alex Faedo twice this week, both times 2 innings and a win.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I found my way into some wins. Like when you look at it, that wins were tied at 3. Like I gutted out a couple of wins. Like there was a certain circumstance where I pitched Mikolas, and it's like Mikolas against the Mets. What are you doing? He ends up getting that win on Friday.
Yeah.
So like a lot of my decisions, I felt like were on point. Those relief appearances that you mentioned, Joe, like Mesa, Fido, they worked out. Thornton, like all these
Mhm.
guys were pitching really well until Jake Bird blew it up. But like in general, like those guys were like handing me ERA, like really helping. So it's unfortunate how it ends, but like I felt like for the most part, my ads in front of Corbin were good.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was your MVP this week, Benji?
Will Smith.
Yeah, he had a week.
3 doubles.
Yeah. Yeah. 450 with a 455, 5 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and an error. He's been everything that you could possibly want in that cleanup spot behind the 3 stars. So
Yeah.
certainly putting together the season that you had hoped for. Least valuable hitter, who is it?
It's probably Charlie Blackmon, though it felt like Brandon Nimmo.
Blackmon had the worst week. Nimmo did have 5 walks, so that'll save him from the accolade. 167 with a 167, 3 runs, a double, an RBI, and 4 strikeouts for Blackmon. Your Cy Young this week, sir?
I mean, Fido, you got to consider it, right? I mean,
Right?
it would have been Yarborough if I just played him on Sunday with all the stats he would have gotten me. But I don't know. Is it maybe Cortez? I don't know.
Yeah,
There was
we'll give it to Faedo with his 2 wins, his 450 and 4 innings across 2 relief appearances. You got 2 wins off of the waiver wire from the same dude.
Yeah.
The ugly one, we'll give it to Jake Bird. We've said it enough here. Like he blew up the week
Definitely.
for you and ruined it for you. For Jay Ferraro on his bench, Benjamin, he goes 0 for 9.
Wow.
Yeah, with 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, none of it plays. And for his moves this week, he used 7 of them. He added Braxton Garrett for Victor Gonzalez, added Cole Sands for Taylor Saucedo, a clean relief appearance, dropped Gavin Williams for Yariel Rodriguez, 4 innings, a loss, a 6.75, and a 2 in Kansas City, and then dropped Braxton Garrett for Kyle Harrison, 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, nothing earned against Pittsburgh. He drops Yariel Rodriguez for a Victor Gonzalez relief appearance, dropped Anthony Rizzo for Nolan Shanuel, and dropped Masataka Yoshida for Joey Wentz. Now, Masataka Yoshida has ended up back on his team. I don't know if that's bad on us or good on him, but however it ends up, Yoshida doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and I'll be honest, I own him in another league, and like he's just his playing time has been sporadic. Now he's like maybe injured. As soon as he hit the waiver wire, I was like, oh, this might be something to use my waiver priority for. And then I'm seeing him like not play, and I'm like, nope, not gonna touch it. I can't.
No, you can't do it when you. First of all, he's only 1 position eligible. That's another
Yep.
thing that's a little bit of a drawback from that guy. But I digress. His MVP this week is going to be Jose Ramirez, 348 with a 423, 4 runs, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 2 walks, and only 1 strikeout. The least valuable hitter. It's like everybody contributed something here in one way or another. Maybe Jung-Hoo Lee with a 222 and a 300, only a run, 2 walks, and a strikeout. The Cy Young this week, man, Mason Miller is good, isn't he?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
It's either him or Foley.
Yeah. No, three and a third innings, 3 saves, 8 strikeouts, an 0.30 whip across 3 relief appearances. He got 10 guys out and 8 of them by strikeouts.
Gross.
Nasty. The Cy Young will go to Craig Kimbrell, who now appears to be headed toward the IL with an 11.57 and a 4.71 whip across 4 relief appearances. Yikes. Ugly.
Yep.
Benjamin.
But, Kimbrell still had those 2 saves, and that's the one thing we haven't talked about yet. 16 saves between the two of us. I had 7. That's good for second best in the league this week. But I guess I needed 9 to tie it, and I just knew it. I just knew that Jay would pull out all of these saves this week, and I'd have like a good amount, and I can't expect to do that every single week. But this is the deepest bullpen in our league, and it matches up better than anyone for a playoff. And it was just it's really frustrating. That's why I was targeting another closer going into this, hoping that I could trade for one for this matchup. But I would have needed 2 more just to tie. So I'm actually happy I didn't pull that trigger. Forget that. I'll see you in 15 weeks, Jay. One of the most frustrating, most difficult matchups I've ever experienced in Big's history. Tipping my cap to an amazing manager who seems to not skip a beat when he misses 3 years. It's in this case 2, but there have been times where he has missed at least 3 at a time before he jumps back for 1 or 2 years. But this is a wily vet, 10 years in this league. It's a guy that everyone remembers when he comes back because he always makes a presence when he's here. Back-to-back championships in 07 and 08, 4 playoff appearances in the bigs. So everyone needs to look out because this is one of the best managers in our league, bar none. And I told him going into it, I'm just like, I'm not happy this has to happen, and I can't wait until it's over. And by Sunday night when the last game, I was like, good, it's done. I'm glad I didn't get blown out because that's what I was kind of expecting.
Didn't even get the loss here, Benjamin. You take not the loss. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that still leaves you undefeated on the season. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, the 2 of us are the last 2 undefeated teams. It's no longer a winning streak for either of us, but yeah, an unbeaten streak as well. So yeah, I give him a lot of credit, man, because he really makes you second guess yourself. And anyone playing against him, that's playing the day to day, like watching what he does, making an ad on that account, then like, yeah, it's really, really tough to play because no doubt this guy's been staying up at 3 a.m. making ads now. Like, Jay has never been like a night owl. As far as I've known Jay Ferraro, he's a guy that goes to bed early, and now all of a sudden at 3 a.m. he needs to be doing work on the bigs. Like, get out of here. Like, it's unbelievable. This guy is unstoppable. And and when you think like I'm like, God, I think I beat Jay. I think I got him. Nope, Jake Bird. Okay, done. So it was fun. It was fun, but at the same time, it really wasn't. And I'm glad to be done with this. And I will see you in 15 weeks, Jay.
Thank you so much, Benji. That was a wonderful wrap on this particular matchup. It was a great matchup to watch. I will say this much: you guys went back and forth all week. It was a lot of punch and counter punch, and Jake Bird was the final knockout blow for you, sir. So that's the unfortunate circumstance that exists around the bigs and having the relief pitchers. You need to have them for the relief appearances, but one big major blow up like that can ruin your entire week. So tip of the cap to Jay Ferraro, who continues to lead this league, and tip of the cap to you, Jason, who got yourself a 12-9 victory this week over Mr. Josh Haber.
Yeah.
Really great win for you. On Sunday, runs were tied, and you blew that out of the water. Josh had a 1 stolen base lead, and you took that. Josh had a 1 walk advantage, and you took that. And wins were tied, and Josh took that. So it ends 12-9. Jason, you win by the 2 stolen bases and the 2 walks by a hitter. Josh wins by 2 triples, a win, 3 losses, 3 walks by a pitcher, and 3 relief appearances. For Jason on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 8 for 29.
Okay. 8 for 29. 311.
It's 276 with 5 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 7 runs, and an error. None of it, in fact, plays. Good job, Jason. For his moves this week, he dropped Jose Urena for Hobie Milner, dropped Hobie Milner for Tyler Alexander, 4 innings in a relief appearance, a 450 and a 1. Ben Lively was added for Ben Brown, 6 1/3, a homer, 7 strikeouts, a 1.42 and an 0.79 against Boston. Kevin Biggio gets dropped for Mark Canha, 2 for 4 with a double and a solo home run. I do want to pause here and ask you about Kevin Biggio here, Jason, because this was a piece you traded for this year, and now we're seeing him gone here in week number 4. So what was it about Kevin Biggio that got him nixed from the team?
Yeah, he started losing playing time even against righties, and he's been slumping. I thought he started off the season kind of hot, and he was playing pretty much every day except for against lefties, which I expected him not to play against lefties. I understood that, but he had really started to kind of slip it even against righties. So and you know what? I grabbed Mark Canha, who was wonderful for me this week. Josh even texted me saying, like, can Mark Canha fuck off? Where was this last year for the Mets?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He had a really strong week for you. You dropped Ben Lively for Jordan Wicks, which was a waste. You dropped Alexander for Hayden Wisniewski, 2 1/3, a win, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. Finally dropped Matt Brash for Taylor Rogers, an inning, a loss, 2 homers, 2 strikeouts, an 18 and a 2 in a relief appearance. Dropped Wicks for Josh Rojas, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Dropped Rogers for Kyle Nicholas, an inning, 2 strikeouts, and a relief appearance. And dropped Wisniewski for I'm not even going to try. It's a Japanese pitcher on the Boston Red Sox that got called up recently. Just go ahead and Google that particular piece of news. He used all 10. Congratulations, Jason.
Yeah. So what threw me off all like the second half of the week was Jordan Wicks. I picked him up because I knew he was going to start the Sunday night game. And I know he doesn't pitch more than 4 or 5 innings, and I had Wisniewski, so I figured they were going to piggyback. And so I figured on Sunday, one of them could get a win. Maybe I fall into a long save. Something happens with those two. Plus, I had Tanner Houck going for the Red Sox, so like from a pitching standpoint, I felt pretty good going into that matchup. Lo and behold, I think it's Thursday or Friday, Wicks comes up with a forearm injury, and they say, nope, you're going to go on the IL, and now Wisniewski is going to start the game on Sunday. And he just threw a 2 1/3 inning relief appearance the other day, so he's not going to go more than 3 or 4 innings, so there's no win there. So I'm like, well, now I got to pivot and do a whole bunch of other stuff to figure out what to do, to try and make Sunday happen. So I was going back and forth between a couple of relievers to try and see if
Do
I
you know
could.
how many ads? Do you know how many ads you had left at that point once you kind of realized you had to pivot?
I think I had like 4.
Okay.
Yeah, because I dropped when I dropped Wicks. I dropped Wicks. I dropped him on Saturday, so I guess I had like 2 left because I dropped him on Saturday, and I went into Sunday with 2 left.
That's really tough.
And yeah, so that's why I picked up this Nicholas kid from Pittsburgh. They just called him up. I figured he was going to come in. David Bednar had been worked hard the last couple of days. So maybe I don't know who this kid is, but maybe he falls into a save. And then this kid from the Red Sox that they got from the Rays, nobody knew what he was going to do. Is he going to be a long man? Is he going to start? Is he going to close? Like he could be anything. So I was like, okay, Hail Mary here. Let's see what if he does anything. Never came into the game. Of course, Tanner Houck pitches a great game. And then the ball, Chris Martin for Josh blows the fucking thing. And then Kenley Jansen gets the win. So that's how Sunday ends. Sunday was not fun for me.
No, but you know what? Looking at it, I realized, yes, that Sunday night stat, it bit you at the end, but going into Sunday, Josh had the lead. the fact that you were able to grab walks, you grabbed runs, you grabbed more than you lost.
Yeah.
So as frustrating as that is, and I've been there, if you could look at it from that perspective and say, hey, I was losing going into Sunday, I've come out +3, not too bad.
The way that my offense had gone all week, I figured that if anything was going to save me, it was going to be the offense because it had been really good all week. I was just hoping to find something from the pitching that would help in case, because some of the stats did start to get close, even on the offense. So I was starting to get a little nervous that maybe I need to find something from pitching that can help offset it, but it all worked out in the end.
Getting a big 12-9 win. Your MVP this week, you're going to Ryan Jeffers. 417 with a 500 on base, 5 runs, a double, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, another trade piece that you've received, is James Outman, who didn't get a hit and didn't do anything all week.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's been rougher than I was hoping for him, but he's still playing for the Dodgers. He plays every day against the righties, so just got to wait it out.
Okay. George Kirby, another trade piece that you've received. 7 innings, a win, a walk, 12 strikeouts, nothing earned in 0.43. That's good enough for your Cy Young this week.
Yep. Good enough for your team name captain, too, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Chris Bassett is the Cy Yuck this week. 2 2/3, a 23.63, and a 4.50. Yikes, that was a bad start.
That was against the Dodgers, and I had it in my mind, don't start him against the Dodgers. And it was earlier in the week. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know. It was like earlier in the week, and I was like, so I start him and try and weather it, and I said to myself, don't start him. And I completely forgot to bench him.
Really?
So, wore that.
Wow.
So the
that
plan
sucks.
was to bench him, and you just
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah. I got busy and never
Been there.
Yeah, it just didn't happen. So,
Yep.
Wow.
For Josh on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 3 for 26.
Jesus, man. 1 for 9. God, 3 for 26, 1 for 9, a little bit better. 137. I really don't know.
It's going to be 115.
Yeah. Okay.
With 3 runs, 2 doubles, an RBI, 4 walks that could have won the category, and 15 strikeouts and an error. Again, the 4 walks are really what matter here. He lost that category by 2. So probably could have gotten that into the lineup here or there. His moves this week. We'll start with adding Taylor Rogers for Darius Vines. Dropped Josh Winkowski for Keaton Wynn. 6 innings, a win, a homer, a walk, 6 strikeouts, a 150, and an 0.83 at home against the New York Metropolitans. He dropped Josh Fleming for Dean Kramer, 5 1/3, a win, a bomb, a walk, 10 strikeouts, a 3.38 and an 0.75 in LA against the Angels, and dropped Ricky Tiedemann. He picked up Trevor Larnach, 2 for 4 with a strikeout, dropped Dean Kramer for Willie Castro, 1 for 4 with an RBI, and dropped Taylor Rogers for Caleb Thielbar, a clean relief appearance. He dropped Larnach and Drew Smith, or he picked up Drew Smith, who was then placed on the IL and then re-dropped, so that's a wasted ad. And then finished it off dropping Keegan Thompson for Greg Weissert and Chase Anderson.
Caleb Thielbar can go away because this guy, I think he recorded 2 saves. Yeah. Or one, or well, I guess 1 save. I thought it was 2 saves, but he came in twice. And like he just picked this guy up off the scrap heap because Duran is starting to come back, but wasn't back yet, and he has and picked up a save. And I think he had a save the week before too, or maybe it was this week. But yeah, I'm done with Caleb Thielbar.
Caleb Thielbar is on Jason's shit list.
Yeah.
Josh used all 10?
Yes, I believe he did.
Wow.
9.
All right, so the wasted ad, at least, it's like he still had 1 to play with anyway.
Yeah, the wasted ad doesn't hurt him too terribly here at the end of the week. So
Yeah.
his most valuable hitter, of course, who else would it be but Mookie Betts? I mean, this guy is probably the best player in the National League right now. 500 with a 536 on base percentage, 5 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 4 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, and 2 walks without a single strikeout in the entire week.
What? A triple and 3 steals,
Mm-hmm. And
500 batting average.
and
Sorry,
no strikeouts.
it's one thing to have a 500 on base percentage. He went 536, but a 500 average, he went 1 for 2 the entire week. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's the fact that Jason is walking away with a win when you hear this. That's the beautiful thing about the bigs,
Yeah.
because we have so many different stats and so many different things you can delegate your ads and your strategy towards, that a guy could hit like that and carry you offensively, and it's still not enough to win the week.
Well, the rest of his offense wasn't all that good, if we're honest. Corey Seager was the least valuable hitter with a 100 average and a 250 on base with 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, an error, a bomb, an RBI, and a run scored. But, I mean, Adolis Garcia hit 118. Jaron Duran hit 148. Jorge Soler hit 143. Michael Busch hit 211. Mitch Garver hit 100. There were plenty of dudes who did not pull their weight this week for Josh, and it showed. The Cy Young goes to Keaton Wynn. We talked about him. And the Cy Young, Jason, you talked about it, goes to Chris Martin for that blown save up in Boston on Sunday night.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, also on Sunday, Josh benched 3 starts. He benched Wynn, Zach Littell, and there was a third one I'm missing, but so he didn't start any of his starters on Sunday, and it could have made things interesting if he had.
Yeah. And the frustrating thing for Jason here is that Martin blow up doesn't affect anything in the standings in Jason's favor. Home runs given up ends up 6-10-6 in Josh's favor. He still won ERA 247 to 384. He still won WHIP 101 to 113. So that Martin blow up only hurt Jason. It didn't do anything for Josh.
Yeah, because it let Jansen get the win.
yeah, exactly. Which untied that category.
Yeah.
But Jason, you do come away with the Big 12-9 win, putting yourself in the right direction in the standings. So I'll give you the floor and let you address the listening audience.
Yeah, it was definitely a get right week for me. I needed this against, we've said how many times that Josh is one of the best day-to-day managers in the league, and so to come away with a 12-9 win, I am hanging. I got my head up high coming away with this. Josh put me through the ringer as he always does. And now we move on. I get Frank this week, and it's not going to be a walk in the park by any means. So I can't rest on my laurels, and it's just another week.
All right, Benji, anything to add to this matchup before we move on?
Jason said it great. The fact that Josh is one of the best day-to-day managers. Jason, I was starting to get a little concerned about your season because you took that week 1 loss to Mike Sherman, and you're kind of clawing your way back. And now all of a sudden you got to face Josh Haber. To find your way through this, to get a +3, I think was really, really important. I haven't talked to Josh yet about how he feels about how this week ended up for him, but I think he should feel pretty good. He's still pretty. I think he's 3rd place in the standings, so it didn't hurt him too terribly. And he still has a pretty lethal team that underachieved offensively, aside from Betts. So if the law of averages play out, some of these guys should shoot up. So hopefully for him, this is not a sign of things to come for his offense, that it actually is an offense that can click. And Jason, I do like your team a lot. There are some pieces that I am concerned about. Lindor has not found himself yet. Some of these offensive pieces I am a little bit worried about going forward, but I believe in you to manage through them. And I think you did a really, really great job managing this week. Some of the decisions that you made as far as pitching and the direction you were going was really, really impressive. Not shocking because you do make amazing decisions consistently through the week when you're making ads, but I thought this was exceptional for you.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate all that.
The one downside, we do have to talk about it, Jason. You lost Mike Trout here today as he's about to have knee surgery on a torn meniscus.
Yeah, and I was texting with Jay Ferraro earlier today when that news hit, and I said to him, I was like, if he's gonna go out, I'd rather him be lost for the season, so I could just drop him. But now it's not season ending, so now I have this quandary: do I hang on to him and soak up a roster spot, not knowing how long he's gonna be out with the meniscus surgery? It could be 6 weeks, it could be 3 months. I don't know. So like that makes it that much more difficult. Like I'd rather him just be out for the season so I could just dump him. But now I have to figure it out. It's
you
so
can't let go of Javier. You can't. You have this kind of commitment to Royce Lewis, who I guess will be back somewhat soon. Garrett Whitlock. I happen to really like Garrett Whitlock. I don't know what his role is gonna be when he gets back. Maybe that's the guy that doesn't need to stay, but I don't know. It stinks to have that roster spot clogged. But the good news is it's not like you can't fill center fields. Like
right.
I think you have some solid guys that can. Of course, you can't replace Mike Trout, but I think these guys can fill the void at least a little bit and maybe help you win a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm not worried about filling. I'm not worried about filling the position. I'm just worried about filling the stats.
Yeah, the production certainly takes a hit when you lose Mike Trout after another strong April. We've seen it before. We've seen it literally every single year since 2019.
Yeah,
you're right. 2021 was a lost year. Last year was basically a lost year with the hamate, but right in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, let's see if Byron Buxton can actually be Byron Buxton that we expected, like this #1 prospect rated by MLB. Like 353 average last week, a 421 on base last week, 5 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, a stolen base, a walk, 6 strikeouts. I mean, if you can get this kind of production from Buxton, and even not, it doesn't even need to be that good, right? It doesn't need to have a 421 on base. You could have something like a 370 and still be solid and still basically fill the void. So like maybe this is the time to like this guy who's supposed to be such a special player, make him your center fielder every day. And then you got guys like Morel. You traded for Outman. Maybe he takes another step. Nick Senzel. I've seen some impressive things from him this year. You have a lot of center fielders, so I'm hoping that somehow like you find your way into some good stats.
For sure.
All right, let us move on to the second of 3 ties this week. We're going to talk about Jimmy Dunlap and Cody Piatt taking down 10-10 ties as well. On Sunday, Jimmy led by a home run and Cody tied that. Cody led by a stolen base and Jimmy took that outright. Walks were tied and Cody took that. Saves were tied and Cody took that. So it ends 10-10 even.
And RBIs, was that something that shifted?
Cody had a 3 RBI lead and it remained a 3 RBI lead.
It. Okay, we'll talk. I want to talk about that a little bit later because there was something that I noticed.
Okay. So closed categories this week. Jimmy wins by the stolen base, 2 losses, and 3 home runs given up by a pitcher. Cody wins by a triple, 3 RBIs, a walk by a batter, an error, and a save. And they tied in home runs by a batter. For Jimmy on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 9 for 30.
Okay, it's a little easier. Is it 313?
It's 300 even.
Okay.
With 2 runs, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs, 3 walks, and 13 strikeouts. The RBIs would have played there, and 3 walks would have won him the category there. For his moves this week, Jimmy started off by dropping Brooks Raley for Luis Garcia, the relief pitcher. He then dropped Taylor Scott for Yency Almonte, dropped Stephen Kolek for Eric Miller for a clean relief appearance, dropped Miller for Cody Funderburk. That's Funderburk, not Thunderbird, but Funderburk. 2 innings, a walk, a strikeout, a 450, and a 1. He dropped Rafael Montero for Elvis Peguero, and a clean relief appearance. Picked up Taylor Saucedo for Elvis Peguero, which was a waste. He did not get in. And then on Sunday, makes 4 moves. He drops Funderburk for Tobias Myers, who didn't get into the game. He then dropped that guy for Jacob Young, 3 for 5 with 2 runs, a double, 3 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. Who?
So, real quick, Tobias Myers is a pitcher for the Brewers who was kind of the same position as my Red Sox guy. Didn't know if he was going to be a swingman or a spot starter, or what he was going to be. He ends up starting the game again on Sunday against the Yankees. So I can understand dropping that guy when you find out that news, because no thank you. And he picks up Jacob Young, who I have been watching. And because I had Trout and Buxton, I couldn't go after this guy because I can't have 3 center field only guys. But Jacob Young is a stud for the Nationals. He's been stealing bases left and right. This kid can put Victor Robles out of a job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. He drops Tyler Saucedo for Joey Meneses, who goes 0 for 6, and drops Paul Blackburn for Luke Weaver after the bell. His key players this week, we're going to go with Josh H. Smith as the MVP. He went 333 with 368, 2 runs, 5 doubles, a homer, 2 RBIs, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter, yeah, I was going to talk about this guy, Gleyber Torres. He is not doing well this year. 200 with a 200, 2 runs, a double, an RBI, and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young is Carlos Rodon, and all of a sudden Carlos Rodon is doing quite well for himself here this season. 13 innings, a win, 12 strikeouts, a bomb, 3 walks, an 0.69 and an 0.46. And the Cy Young is Pablo Lopez. 4 innings, homer, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 6.75 and a 150. He pitched pretty well, 327 and 0.96 for the week. So
yeah, and he had benched Pablo on Sunday, which would have given him a win, but he didn't pitch well. So
gotcha.
Shoot.
Yeah. For Cody on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 2 for 11.
Oh, is it 188?
It's 182.
Oh, 182.
Mm-hmm. It's a run, an RBI, and 5 strikeouts. None of it plays. His moves this week, he drops Nelson Velasquez for Ryan O'Hearn, which was a waiver claim. Drops Tyler Matzik for Lane Thomas, 0 for 2 with a run, a steal, and 2 walks, and then was placed on the IL. And isn't it some sort of meniscus thing too? He's going to be gone for a couple of months.
I believe so. Yeah, it's not a short thing.
No, because he's now a free agent, but he is going to be gone for a bit. Jose Soriano gets dropped for Dylan Floro. Ryan O'Hearn gets dropped for Chase Anderson, which was a waste. John Means gets dropped for Blake Perkins, 0 for 1 with an RBI and 3 walks. Chase Anderson dropped for Josh Seabor's an inning and a relief appearance. He dropped Wandy Peralta for Eric Swanson and dropped Alex Kirilloff for Mike Talkman, 1 for 4 with 2 runs, a steal, and a walk. Dropped Lane Thomas for Slade Ciccone, 6 innings, a loss, a walk, 8 strikeouts, a 150, and an 0.67 in Seattle. Well done. That was a good one.
Yeah, that I watched that game. That was the George Kirby game, and they were like trading goose eggs for 6 innings practically. And I was like, okay, which one's gonna go out first? And luckily, the Mariners took it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ciccone gets dropped the next day for Jose Quintana, 8 innings, a walk, 3 strikeouts, a 113 and 050 in versus St. Louis on the bench because he didn't play him.
Yep.
Damn.
He did in fact use all 10. His MVP this week, Gunnar Henderson has been on fire to start this year. He is absolutely amazing. 320 with a 357 this week, 8 runs, a double, a triple, 3 bombs, 7 RBIs, 2 steals, and 6 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Corbin Carroll, 056 with a 105, 7 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. And I have a note here. He's batted 7th or 8th each of the last 5 games. Is that right, Jason?
I think now it's 6 games, but yeah.
Wow. So they've moved him all the way down in the lineup.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Is he hurt? Do we think that there might be something going on with him?
I don't know, man. I mean, he has eight steals, so that's like good, but the rest of his game is just god awful.
He's been an absolute mess.
Yeah.
The Cy Young this week is Kevin Gossman. Once I find where he's at. 13 2/3, a win, a loss, a bomb, a walk, 7 strikeouts, an 0.66 and an 0.95. And the Cy Yuck goes to Wandy Peralta. Although, aside from his 33.75 and a 3.75, I got to give Cody credit. He threw to a 2.99. This is about the 3rd week in a row he's thrown to a really good ERA.
Yes.
So credit to him for adapting quickly to how we play this game and being able to throw this low in ERA consistently.
And those first 2 weeks or whatever was without Kevin Gausman when Gausman was terrible. And now he gets Gausman and he throws to a sub-1 ERA over 2 starts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Benji, get in here on this. You said something about some RBIs. What do you got?
Oh my God. If I'm Jimmy, I'm taking a long walk in Big's headquarters backyard after the Sunday night game because I'm feeling like this is a win. And then Mike Hochman hits a 3-run homer that unties RBIs and makes homers from Jimmy and makes that a tie. So I believe he had a 10-8 lead that all of a sudden becomes a 10-10 tie. I am furious. I'm livid. Not to mention Jimmy's a Red Sox fan. So, I mean, that's the bigs for you right there. When things are that close and one swing of the bat from Tauchman changes things to a tie, that was crazy.
Absolutely. That is pretty nuts that happens, especially in the late game like that, where.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I gotta say, like, most matchups have something riding on that final game, and typically something happens that changes it for somebody. I know it did for you, Joe, and quite a few managers dealt with it as well, and it's just unbelievable how that happens and changes the stats. It's crazy that after like 6.999 days of the week, things are still that close that the final game shifts it that much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's partially because of the teams, right? I mean, Red Sox and Cubs, a lot of us own a lot of Red Sox and Cubs. If it was like, some other teams, maybe we don't, there's not enough as much players that are impactful. But
I hear what you're saying, but if we looked at all 4 weeks in the matchup and we looked at that Sunday night game, we would see that at least 3 out of the 8 matchups had something riding on that final game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something changed in the standings, something changed in the score.
Sure. All right, let's move on to the final matchup of the week, the final 10-10 matchup of the week. It is Mike Haber taking on Bobby Russo. We went into this matchup with a 10-10 tie. We come out with a 10-10 tie. However, oh no, I'm sorry. It was 11-8 Mike Haber going in. It comes out 10-10. On Sunday, triples were tied, and Bobby took that one down. Innings were Mike Haber had a 6-inning advantage, and Bobby took that down, aside from the triple, and he had a 3 home run advantage and gave that up to Mike. So again, 11-8 going in, 10-10 coming out. Mike Haber, close categories, wins by the win, 2 saves, and a home run by a pitcher. Bobby wins by the triple and the error, and they tied in stolen bases.
And so I was texting with Mike on Sunday, and he was really actually kind of proud of himself because he and you'll get into his moves, but he picks up Austin Gomber on Sunday, and I guess that kind of forced Bobby to throw Michael King, and he had texted me saying if King hits one more or allows one more home run, then I don't gotta start Gomber, and this is great. And then he texted me saying it worked. It worked because King gave up another home run, and so he didn't have to play Gomber, and it was beautiful, just absolutely
Well
beautiful.
done, Mike. Well done.
Impressive.
The bluff is always the interesting play, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. This is an example of it paying off. His move. On his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 11 for 33.
333. Thank you very
Well,
much.
well done, sir. 10 runs, a double, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts. None of it plays. None of it even plays. All that on the bench, nothing plays. For his moves this week, he adds Reed Garrett for Anthony Bender, 2 innings, a win, a bomb, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 450, and a 150.
A win?
A win the day he picked him up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
No. I even said to him, I said, if there's
we'll get into it with that guy.
fan, if there's gonna be any non-Mets fan to have Reed Garrett in this league, it should be Mike Haber.
Agreed. He dropped Will Benson for Nick Means, who gave him an inning, a loss, a walk, a strikeout, an 18, and a 4. He dropped Trent Thornton for Jose Quintana, 5 innings, a loss, a homer, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 9, and a 2 in San Francisco. He dropped Means for Ursig, a clean relief appearance. Dropped Quintana for Brebbio, who gave up a bomb in his relief appearance. Mason Wynn gets dropped for Calvin Fauché, who had a terrible relief appearance. He dropped Fauché for Soriano, who had an awful appearance when he started against Minnesota at home. 2160 and a 360 for that. He dropped Jose Buto for Bailey Falter, and then dropped Falter for Ben Lively, 4 1/3, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 208 and a 138 against Atlanta. He then dropped Soriano for the Gomber bluff, and then dropped Gomber outright. Well done, Mike. Well done.
Two things on here. So Quintana,
his MVP this week, once again, Marcell Ozuna, 350 with a 458 on base percentage, 5 runs, 3 doubles, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts. And holy shit, this guy has been just absolutely on fire.
Yeah.
To start this season.
Jason, did you have a couple of points you wanted to throw in there?
Real quick, I did, because the Jose Quintana start on Monday, that was I could be held responsible for that because he asked me for my opinion, and I told him, I said, it's possible he's going to give you innings against the Giants, who are, I think, an inferior team to the Mets. Like, it looks like a decent start, especially on a Monday where, it's not a Sunday or a Saturday. And he throws them and it's not great. So sorry for that, Mike. And the Bailey Falter, he faltered because he thought that Falter was pitching on Sunday. I think he thought it was, and he wasn't pitching until Monday. So
okay. All right.
That's why the waste.
The least valuable hitter this week is Nick Castellanos, 077 with an 077 run and a strikeout. What a terrible Nick Castellanos has been this season. The Cy Young, yes, we can, in fact, give it to Reed Garrett here. He got 2 wins on the week, but in over 4 innings, 6 strikeouts, a bomb, 3 walks, a 225, and a 150 and 2 relief appearances. So both times he got into the game, he won. And this guy is striking out 50% of the batteries facing.
He has the most strikeouts for any reliever.
Well done. Somebody finally gave him a permanent home. I saw him bounce around a few times.
Yeah.
And of course, the Cy Young is, in fact, Jose Soriano. It was an inning and 2/3, a loss, 3 walks, a strikeout, a 2160, and a 360. Gross. Absolutely gross. He did, however, use all 10. For Bobby on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 5 for 26.
So close. Is it 188?
192. He's close.
192.
Yep. With an RBI, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, and an error, none of it plays. He used all 10 of his ads as well this week. He drops Frankie Montas for Jorge Mateo, 0 for 3, 2 steals and a walk. He drops Mateo for Luke Raley, 1 for 4 with a strikeout. Drops Raley for Trevor Williams, 5 innings, 2 walks, a strikeout, a 180 and a 140 in Miami. He drops Cal Quantrill for Orlando Arcia, 2 for 4 with a homer. Drops Bo Naylor for Jose Urania, who had a decent relief appearance. Dropped Trevor Williams for Eric Fetty. Dropped Jesse Winker for Zach Neto, who went 0 for 5 with a strikeout. Winker, 2 for 5 with a grand slam that day. That sucks.
Oops.
He drops Urania for Dane Dunning, 5 and a third, 10 strikeouts, the win, and a 169 over an 056 whip against Cincinnati. Jose Siri gets dropped for Harrison Bader, and Zach Neto gets dropped for Austin Adams. The MVP this week is Kyle Tucker. If I can find where he's at. Kyle Tucker, a 368 and a 455, 5 runs, a double, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Vlad. My goodness, he is really off to this bad a start, is he not? 192 with a 250, a run, a double, an RBI, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, and an error. He's just been bad, and like the Toronto Blue Jays are suddenly really bad.
Bo Bichette has been really bad. Like the only one who's hitting is Dalton Varsho.
Yeah, and they need Vlad for them to go. You know, or at least a Bo Bichette to be like the leader. But if neither one of these guys are going to click, they're just not going to find any kind of consistency.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. The Cy Young this week is, we're going to give it to Logan Webb yet again because, God damn it, this guy is the most underrated baseball player in the major leagues. 8 innings, a win, a walk, 4 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.88. He's
against the Mets.
Just, of course it was against the Mets. Who else would it be against? The Cy Young is Michael King and his 4 homers, 2 losses, and a 10 ERA across a baseball game. So he gave up 10 runs in 2 losses with 4 bombs. Yuck. Gross. Benji, what do you got?
Well, Jason was talking to Mike. Bobby, he was my Biggs buddy on Sunday. I needed someone to vent to, and we were texting each other a lot, just letting out our frustrations, and there was a good amount of them. I was happy when Frelick got the triple for him. That was great, but I'm going to throw some of these texts at you guys, and I think you guys will appreciate it. He pulled Gomber, right? We knew that was going to happen. Bader bails Garrett. None of it matters. Fuck you, Vientos. And that gives Mike a fucking win on fucking real. Yeah. Like, it's crazy how like that happened. And then all of a sudden that win ended up mattering, you know? And I hear it, you know, the fact that he was losing going into Sunday and he found his way into a tie, I think that should be satisfying enough. But like, I was with Bobby on this. Like, it felt like both of us, like we felt like we should have had wins this week, and it just didn't happen. And it's another, like I had said it to him, and I said it to you guys now, that a great manager makes you second guess yourself. And Mike Haber is the champion of this league. He's a 2-time champion. He's in the playoffs every single year, and he makes you work. Also, Bobby was a 3 a.m. guy this weekend, and he texts me. I feel like he texted me really early because I picked up Corbin and he needed an arm. And because obviously he was going for the innings, and he ended up grabbing somebody. But like, I just felt bad at 3 a.m. I grabbed Corbin. He needed him. So holy shit, this league right now with everybody gutting it out, and like Bobby texting me at 3 something a.m. and then also texting me early in the morning. I'm like, dude, this guy's got kids. This guy must be freaking exhausted. You know, like Sunday must have just absolutely sucked for this guy. And yeah, he knew he shouldn't have pitched Michael King, but he got bluffed it out. You know, the fact that Mike Haber knew that could come in, and he had the later game guy, and it worked out. So brilliance from both of these managers. Like they both gutted it out. They both worked their asses off, and it's impressive to see. We see all these close scores this week because we see so many hard-working managers, and it's just, as a commissioner, it's amazing to see. We do not play for any money. This is all for this, and just the fact that we are like staying up till 3 a.m. or setting alarms to get up at 3 a.m. or making ads just so we can bluff our opponent. Thinking 2 days or 3 days ahead and making ads in regards to that. It's just amazing across the board. These managers, you said it, Joe, like something about this year just feels different than every single other year. And I really think it's just that we've never seen a 16-team group like this. We've never seen a stacked group like this. It's amazing. It really is.
It really, really is. This is an incredibly special season. Let's talk about managers of this week. Let's start with the number 3. Jason, I'm going to start with you. Who's number 3 for you?
Man, this is a tough week because so many close matchups. 3 ties makes it like really difficult for me. I'm gonna give number 3. Gosh, I'm gonna give it to Mike Haber for that, just for that Gomber bluff. Just genius the way that worked out. Taking a tie against another tough manager in Bobby Russo. There's so many ways you could go here, but especially since it ended in a tie. But I'm gonna go with Mike, even though it ended in a tie.
All right, Mike Haber for Jason. Benjamin Nisman, who do you have at number 3?
I've got our co-host Jason Ashby here. I would like to give it to one of these guys in a tie because they did manage so well, but how do I pick one over the other when it ends up being a tie? That's very difficult for me. Um, I give them all credit, but yeah, Jason, I think you managed really, really well this week against another amazing manager and found a way to get through here, especially because this was I'm not going to say it's a must-win week, in week 4, but like if this goes in the other direction, it's a 12-9, you got a little bit more of climbing back to do, and now you can live with a loss this week a little bit more than if it happens again. So I give you a lot of credit for your hard work this week.
Thank you, sir.
My number 3 is going to go to Henry Collins for his win over Mike Sherman. You got to beat the guys that are on your schedule, and when Sherman is on your schedule, you got to beat him. But Sherman is having a pretty good start to the season as well, so let's give him credit where it's due. It's only an 11-9 loss to Henry, but Henry getting the win when it is needed. We certainly like seeing that. Number 2 this week, Jason Ashby. Who do you got at number 2?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Henry here, because just like you said, you got to beat who's on your schedule, and I didn't beat Mike Sherman. So kudos to Henry for, again, not many of our matchups ended in, a win. So yeah, I'll hand that to Henry. He sits in 11th place, but I think, there's more to be said about, his future. So yeah, good job on a win this week, Henry.
Good job, Henry. You got the number 2 from Jason. Benjamin Nisman, who do you have at number 2?
Jumping right on board with that. Henry is my number 2 this week. I mean, something that can't be forgotten about is that Henry was losing this entire week, like the entire week, and it looked like it was going to be a loss until the end, and he just found a way to gut it out and pull this thing off. Walks given up ends up being tied. He only gets that one relief appearance on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like it could have been worse if somebody else gets in there. It felt like he was just playing by the score consistently, and that's something that I noticed. And the fact that he just found a way, it just seemed like Sherman was going to win this week, and it didn't happen. It was amazing win for Henry.
My number 2 is going to be Frank Bucco, who beat me 12-8. If you didn't hear my take on it last episode, go back and listen. I'm a little salty on it, but I do have to admit he took the biggest win of the week, so I have to give him a little bit of credit here, 12-8. Number 1, Jason Ashby. Who do you got at number 1?
I know you're salty, and I know there was a wonky error or a wonky triple, and but like you said, it was the biggest variance of the week. Taking down someone like you, I got to give it to Frank.
Yeah, I understand.
I get it.
Do you have it the same way, Benny?
I don't actually. Frank doesn't make it for me, and it's not anything that he did do or didn't do. I feel bad that he's omitted here, but the reason why is I feel like this matchup looks a lot different if two of your biggest star hitters don't have children this week. You know, Harper and Machado for how many days you were missing them? I mean, that's such a big difference, and I feel bad omitting Frank from this, but like I do think that that's something that I just considered in all of it. He's my honorable mention, and if things don't work out for Jason on Sunday, then I'm putting Frank in, but that's just what happened. My number one goes to a guy that I was pretty darn sure was losing this week. I was pretty darn sure that my favorite manager was going to come away with his first win of the week. But Costas decided to do something that like no manager has business doing on a Sunday, and that's having 20 strikeouts over 15 and 2/3 innings to a 287, a 109 whip, a win, a save, a home run given up, 4 walks. He bats 310 with a 364 on base, 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 2 steals, a walk, 10 strikeouts, and an error. Um, this was just an incredible comeback win. I felt horrible, horrible for Brian, who looked like he had this win in the bag, but Costas finds a way to tie steals on the day. He takes away runs. He grabs strikeouts by 5. Just all these different things that he just found a way to just grab a stat here, grab a stat there, and he pitched all those guys. Like, how not one of them actually blew up? I just don't like. uh, like you got some balls to throw Bot and Tarek Skubal, and like both of them were solid. I mean, yeah, Bot gave up the 1 home run, but a 3 ERA and an 83 whip over 6 innings. Tarek Skubal, 7 innings for the win. He gets 4 relief appearances that were, besides Jordan Weems, that like they were all pretty solid. I mean, it's frustrating when you look at it from the Brian Lebo perspective, but my God, what gumption you have to do all of that and take those risks. And it didn't burn him. I can't not acknowledge it. It's an amazing, amazing comeback win from Costas. It cannot be ignored.
No doubt, no doubt. Costas put up an amazing Sunday, taking that win right out of Brian Lebo's hands. That close. My number one this week, it's my co-host Jason Ashby. When he gets a win over Josh Haber, we have to celebrate this man. Celebrate him, we will. The Mets win, the Maple Leafs win, Jason Ashby wins. All right, everybody's happy.
It's a good day.
It is a good day. It is a
And I
good
got the
day,
car
guys.
titled, right?
You got the car titled. Yeah, you did. Thank you guys both so much for being here. Jason, thanks so much for being here with me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a fun fact, we talked about before we came on the air that the Dodgers and D-backs games was delayed because of bees. I got a tweet or an X, whatever it is now, that I've never seen before. Usually when somebody gets scratched, it's scratched because of an elbow or because of a knee. Jordan Montgomery was scratched from today's start because of bees.
He must be allergic to bees. That's hilarious.
I guess. And this game still hasn't started yet.
Because of a swarm of bees.
So weird.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Benji, thank you so much for being here with me, man.
It's a pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for staying here late for me. The guys don't realize, but it's 11:22 on the East Coast here. We had to start late because the Leafs were in overtime, the Knicks were in overtime, the Mets ended up being a longer game, and yeah, this has just been a crazy sports night. But I'm glad we got to talk Bigs baseball because this was such an awesome week and just a sign of things to come. Like this has been such a special season so far, and I'm so grateful and I'm so happy that we all get a chance to talk about and break it down. And when I get those texts on Sunday from all these different managers, venting their frustrations or their excitement, it's just, as a commissioner, it's amazing to see like what we've built now. Now it's the 20th year, incredible, and it continues to grow. Thank you so much.
Guys, tomorrow is May 1st. April is over. The season is but a month old already. We are so excited to be diving into week 5 already. It's amazing that we have this competitive a league so far this season. We want to keep it up. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for being in the league. And thank you so much for doing what you do to make this show what it is. Until next time, guys, it's been real. It's been fun. And it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.